Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Keith Norby, and I'm with NetApp. I'm in the NGDC business unit along with Jeremiah. We'll get through some introductions. The first thing is, it is not FlexPod Stephen Foskett. That he can't have everything, right? You can have most things, but not everything. In all seriousness, it stands for SolidFire. And it's my pleasure to sort of set up the two speakers for this session that's going to get very technical, as it should be for Tech Field Days. But the first question I've got really just for the room as a survey is, who here is a kind of a historical storage admin? Who here has got the storage admin background? Anybody? Yes. Now, I asked that question for a reason, because it's good. Because FlexPod SF is the one FlexPod really designed for the non-storage admin. This is the next generation data center that's built for people to drive agility in a VMware use case. And we're going to get into a lot of the details of that, along with some of the background of FlexPod. And so with that, I've got Lee Howard, the CTO of our Cisco Alliance. He'll come up and talk about FlexPod, kind of what it's been representative, and kind of why we're doing this FlexPod SF intro to the market, especially at Cisco Live. Jeremiah Dooley, 3-year veteran of SolidFire with me back in the original days of Tech Solutions. And he's here. He's on the NGDC Global Pursuits team for major accounts, and so he's going to be going into a lot of the deep dive about the SF9608 nodes, some of the network topology, kind of how this is ran from a network perspective, as well as the use cases. So, but really when we look at innovation, we've done a lot of things within NetApp and specifically SolidFire, and it's not just SOCs. So innovation is not just what we bring from a SOC perspective. We've also got the FlexPod spinner. And so the FlexPod spinner addresses a lot of things that you can have. I've passed out a whole slew of these. So if anyone doesn't have one, you'll notice that these work from one hand to the other. So whether you're a righty or a lefty, it works either way. It addresses network jitters. It's automatically load balanced, so you don't have to worry about that. It's an ergonomic tripod design. It comes in the NetApp specific blue. So if you're into marketing color designations, we made it in that specific color. It's got an auto sizing algorithm because it only comes in one size. And it swings and spins in either direction. It spins either way. So having a little fun with this, we've had variations of FlexPods. We've had the FlexPod Express, the FlexPod Data Center, and now the FlexPod SF kind of fills in the FlexPod spinner as the full 3-prong or more part of how you work with your jitters. But maybe that's not what we should stick to, so I guess we'll go back to SOCs and we'll focus on that as well. Here's the iterations of some of our SOCs we've had in the past, and that's the way that is. So again, for today's presentation, we've got Lee Howard. Lee comes to us from a number of backgrounds that help really establish our Cisco Alliance to a next generation of not just the FlexPod with SolidFire, but with many new innovations we're going to bring to market over time. He'll talk to that. Jeremiah Dooley, you've known him on social media, in VMware circles, and within SolidFire, and now the next generation data center. And so these are our two core presenters for today to get into the technical deep dive. And so our agenda is to really walk you through the evolution of FlexPod. This is important to understand. 6 years ago, they really launched FlexPod, and now this is the first time since then that they really announced or launched a major FlexPod like this. And so the innovation is something that we'll be talking through, from how it started and where it's come through, and what this means to expand. We'll talk through FlexPod support. We'll talk through the FlexPod SolidFire architecture, which is wonderful because it's not your traditional storage architecture. That means a lot in terms of how you consume storage in a next generation data center and how you administer it. And then we'll talk through key dates and resources. So with that, Lee Howard.
Thank you very much. All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you guys are at in the world. I'm going to try not to get directly under that. My Chrome Dome is known to blind people. It's the only time I'm really perceived as being bright. Chad Smith can understand that. I want to say thank you very much for taking the opportunity to let us come in and talk about this. FlexPod's been going on for 7 years, and this is the next logical progression in the portfolio for us to go forward collaboratively. So what is a FlexPod? Everybody's got a pretty decent notion. You've got some Nexus switching. We've got UCS on the compute. We've got some type of NetApp storage. There's some FIs sprinkled in there, but it's so much more than that. FlexPod is a business risk mitigation tool. It allows our end users, our channel partners, to have a platform to wrap a practice around so that they're able to take our solutions and deploy those globally. And so we're able to bring programmable infrastructure. I think if you look across the landscape out there, policy-driven automation is kind of the next inflection point within the market. We've gone through consolidation and virtualization, and as we move towards that, we need to have a comprehensive portfolio that's going to be able to address not just the workloads of today, but to be able to cross that bridge to the next generation data center. What is FlexPod? Well, we've got $8 billion of revenue to date, 4 exabytes of capacity that have been sold. To put that into perspective for everyone, little known fact, if we were to take all the data that humans have created from the dawn of time until 2003, that's just north of 4 exabytes worth of information, and we've done that together. So thanks to everybody in this room, thanks to everybody in the Twitters. Is that Twitter sphere? Was that what you kids call it? Yeah. Thank you to everybody out there for making the business what it is. 8,400 customers, not just FlexPods, 8,400 customers have trusted the lifeblood of their data centers to FlexPod. And a big part of that's the over 140, we're nearing 150 CVDs that are out there. And that's over 250 plus human years of engineering experience that we have collaborative between our two companies. Let's talk about momentum. Everybody likes to see green for us. This is from IDC's study. These are the Q4 numbers. Q1 of 17 is actually 26% year-on-year growth, with everybody else in decline. They're not double-digit like we see up here across the board, but definitely we've got a lot of momentum going. And you notice IDC lists it as Cisco NetApp. That's how we are as a converged system. We're linked together. And without the one, you wouldn't have the other. And so we really do appreciate the momentum we've been able to gain going forward. So I hit on the CVDs that are out there. It's not just a singular document. Some of the folks that have accompanied us up here are bald because of the amount of hours that they have to put in ripping their hair out to be able to get these to market. But it shows that this is a monetary, a time investment, and one that we want to be able to give that the removal of business risk from bringing these into environments to where you've got a step-by-step guide if that's what you want to leverage in an environment. The foundation is in security. We want to be able to give that peace of mind to our end users out there. We have application workloads. That A snuck in there, but that's what FlexPod brings you. You get extra letters. So if we were to look across the landscape right now, there's 3 main areas that people's data are going to primarily be residing. That's they're at the core, moving out to the edge, and some sort of a cloud strategy. And that's going to vary depending upon whatever demographic that you're speaking with. Security is underpinning of everything across there. If you've been on CNBC or Bloomberg, that's every other segment that they have on anything is talking about new ransomware attacks and something along those lines. We call them picnic problems because it's a problem in share, not necessarily in computer. They're targeting humans these days. But what we're able to do collaboratively is bring an elastic capacity. We want to be able to, regardless of what the economic landscape of tomorrow looks like, be able to give folks choice. They don't have to go just best of breed. They don't have to go as a service only. We want them to be able to have the versatility to have that business agility to adapt what the operating environment is fundamentally shifting to. And so if we look across the portfolio for scale-out apps, they're still there for tier 1 enterprise, highly mixed workloads, and Jeremiah's going to get into kind of what differentiates Element OS out there, and specifically this stack, and you'll see the use cases. Even though there's some overlap from a workload perspective, we really want to fundamentally address 3 questions out there. What does the user experience need to look like if we're approaching this from a portfolio sales perspective? What do they want their day-to-day operations to look like? what are they skilled, staffed, and skilled and proficient in implementing? It could be the best solution on the planet, but if they don't have the human capital required to be able to implement that solution, it's going to be a recipe for failure. And then where do they want to go tomorrow? And if we look across the end-to-end portfolio, you have the versatility to be able to move assets out towards the edge. We're no longer seeing just geographically dispersed core sites. We're truly seeing the edge develop out there. And so being able to move your data across that, we're expanding as many usage models as possible. And what would FlexPod be without cooperative support? The linchpin in that are the CVDs and the NVAs that come from both of our companies. And you're able to use that as a core guideline, and then you have the modularity of choice to be able to deviate from that within the supported matrix out there. So we have the HCL out there and the IMT, and being able to follow those tech specs to give that fully supported, fully validated solution to go into people's environments. And it's not just the hardware that's out there. This is fully collaborative across the entire ecosystem. So a lot of our hypervisor support that's out there, a lot of our applications, we're able to go cradle to grave on issue remediation and identification across the board. And this is a key differentiator for us. Being able to leverage the Cisco support network there, some of the best support staff personnel that you'll have in the entire industry, and being able to get the direct access and issue remediation is a key tenet within the FlexPod value proposition. And so you're able to have the freedom of choice. This should come to no surprise to anybody in here, and we have that FlexPod Cooperative Support Lab where we're able to, as we get pre-release code, be able to run that in regression testing across the entire install base of what we're currently fielding out in the landscape out there. And so what that allows us to be able to do is you're not having to wait for that full-on revision to whatever the new release is. You're able to have trust that it's going to be able to operate as you plan going forward. And so as we move into FlexPod SolidFire, we'll kind of go through and talk about what the stack is going to be out here for us. We're plugging into the 9300 series, so those of you out there who have already taken advantage of ACI and are leveraging that in a next generation format, you're able to leverage this within this solution stack. And those that aren't, you've got the best top-of-rack switching family in the industry out there, and you'll understand why we plug into the top of racks as Jeremiah goes through the deep dive out there. And we're validating FlexPod across there on our initial CVD offering on VMware 6.5, enabled with vVols. And so you're being able to go through in that policy-driven automation that I was talking about in the beginning. This is going to be fully available in there. And so you'll see some racking topologies and wiring topologies, so you'll understand wherever you were leveraging a FAS or an all-flash FAS previously within a FlexPod environment, we're going to be bringing in these SF9608 nodes, and we're going to be plugging them in there, going directly up to the Nexus switching and presenting the storage cluster from there. This is going to be the first integrated, fully Cisco hardware FlexPod that we've ever had, based on the C220 M4, and we're going to be bringing it in, adding in our NVRAM card and the Element OS, which is the core of SolidFire, on top of it, and it's going to convert from a compute server over to a storage appliance.